everybody. Welcome to the 98th episode of the Manor Podcast. I'm your co-host, Roger Bodee, joined as always with my best friend and other co-host, Michael Hamilton. Michael, you haven't won a Nats yet, right? You haven't won a Nats and you haven't won a Pro Tour? I feel like we say this every time a major comes around.
I won Nats on Icelander 2 years ago.
You did win a national. Time is so weird, dude. I feel like that was forever ago and yesterday, you know?
My big thing is I haven't top 8 at a Pro Tour yet.
That also means you haven't won a Pro Tour yet.
Yeah.
Because you have to top 8 to get to the final round to win it.
Yeah. Yes, that is true.
Oh, so you don't even care about this tournament then? It's old news for you. If you win it, it'll be like been there, done that before, whatever.
I do care about the tournament. I feel like I've done a pretty good job at lowering my expectations and pressure on myself and just like going and enjoying playing the game and hanging out with people I love. But I do also care about the tournament, so I've been practicing a lot. Probably less than any other major up to this point, but not significantly less. And that's partially just been because we didn't get the set as early as we got other sets in the past before events, like in terms of how much time we had the set before the event. So there just like wasn't as much time to feasibly practice.
Yeah. That being said, there was a new all-time leader tracker thing. I don't know. I saw it on Twitter. They got my rankings wrong because they said Roger Bodee, 0 gold cold foils ever earned. And I've earned a gold cold foil. Damn it. I've top 8 at a calling before. I have won. Give me my point on the board. But
you're getting scammed.
You were number 1 on money earned and a bunch of metrics. Not most PTIs are gold cold foils, but you were number 1 all-time money earner.
That makes sense. Worlds is a lot of money. So
yes. So do you think that means you're the GOAT? Are you settled to be the GOAT now? Or you still win a Pro Tour for that to happen?
I don't really feel comfortable giving
That's fine, because this was all just a segue to say that, you know what else is the GOAT? The Realm Games. They're goated and putting on the best events and being one of the best local game stores all around for great deals and prices and fair, fun times for everyone. They're surely goated at that, if anybody is. Right, Michael?
Yeah. We love the Realm Games.
So thank you to the GOATs at the Realm Games. Bah, bah. For sponsoring.
Bah. Okay.
Or goats go bah. I know sheep go bah 100%, but they go bang. That's what a goat makes, right? I should know my animal noises.
That sounds right to me.
I've been doing them for like 2 years with Austin at this point. I know I got cow goes moo. That one's on lock. Pig goes oink. Fox goes yip 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 yip.
Is that what the fox says?
Yeah, dude. Okay. Chuff 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 is also an acceptable answer. And sheep goes bah. What's another animal? Oh, horse goes neigh. He knows that one. He's got a bunch of them down. He knows owls go hoot hoot. That's a good one. But now he knows that goats go Realm Games.
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we go any further off the rails, let's bring it back on the rails. We're talking about nationals, right? The U.S. variety of nationals, not the international nationals, the United States of America nationals.
Well, that's the one we're both going to be playing in, so it makes the most sense to focus on that one. Though there are other nationals, lots of them. I don't know how many, but a lot coming up after U.S. nationals. U.S. nationals is like a week ahead of everything else this time, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Or a week ahead of before the first other nationals.
Yeah. It's also a couple weeks ahead of the Bolton deck coming out, which is bullshit. Because I want those sweet new Bolton cards, but I don't have them, so I got to play in a tournament with no Bolton cards, and he's in F tier. So you know what?
I still don't think Bolton belongs in F tier. I think he's fine.
So you're playing Bolton? Or tell everybody about your Bolton 80 that you found for U.S. nationals.
So I did 0 testing with Bolton. I did almost all of my testing.
You did an equal amount of testing with Bolton as you did Betsy, so you know.
Yeah. I did an equal amount of testing with Bolton as I did with most of the heroes in the game, because now there are quite a lot of heroes, and who's got time for that? Honestly, I just played some Enigma, and I'm like, this hero's sweet. I'm a casual Enigma player now.
Mm-hmm. Brody.
But I think that there are a lot of good heroes. So like you could spend a lot of time working on any specific or a lot of different specific heroes and probably at least have the potential to do reasonably well at the tournament.
Yeah.
But
So you're locked on Enigma.
yeah, I have basically been working on Enigma since I played her for the first time, and I was like, this hero's sweet. You get to play a lot of blues. Your blues are really powerful, and I like playing powerful blues. I drafted up an Enigma deck, changed like 40, 50, 60 cards since then, but the idea has stayed similar.
Yeah. Make an aura, protect the aura, attack the aura, or attack with the aura over and over again until your opponent dies.
Yeah, I also like attacking with an aura and then attacking with command and conquer so that they lose their arsenal so they can't kill your aura as well. That's a pretty good combo.
Checks out. Checks out.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that one.
So yeah, the Enigma deck that's actually like it's kind of goes further than that. It's like that's kind of the whole thought behind the deck is you want to play an aura and then you want to disrupt them proactively with attacks and then kind of either force them to block, and if they block, they can't kill your aura as well, and then you get an attack with the aura again the next turn, get like above rate value with it. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, makes sense. Checks out. Hero's good. Probably be second or third most played deck, right? You're expecting?
I honestly don't know. I still think there will be a decent amount of KO. I think that Zen's probably going to be the most popular of the new heroes, and then
well, New's going to be the new most popular of the new heroes.
Sure, of the Mystic heroes, I think Zen will be the most popular, and I think that there will probably be a decent chunk of KO because a lot of people already have KO cards. He's still one of the best decks. I think he might still be the best deck, but I don't know. Yeah. Zen's doing some pretty crazy numbers sometimes. But yeah.
Zen does have those numbers. I've been watching people lose their minds about that one like 50 damage turn or whatever. People are like, oh, he's the most broken hero of all time. He was able to deal 50 damage in one turn when he drew a perfect tome setup and double chi, and his opponent was a potato and didn't do anything meaningful, and he got the just exactly right setup to do this one turn sequence that totally doesn't happen in like 1 in a million games. Like, sure, he does good damage consistently, but like he doesn't have like the 50 damage turn like consistently.
Yeah, he doesn't have 50 damage turns consistently, but he does go well above rate on quite a lot of turns, and his best turns like that he can have a lot of turns in the 30 to 30 damage range.
Yeah.
It's not hard for that to happen. He just like blocks with the hat and the shoes and goes to town.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Stubby Hammer's Fi, and I think it would be a lot like it would probably be getting those consistent super high value numbers if he had Stubby Hammers. But the gloves are they block, they protect your hand, so if you need to block with them you can, but they're not doing nearly as much on one turn as Stubby Hammers were. Though over the course of a game, if you're playing Shuko, it's pretty easy to get 5 or 6 value out of it. So even though It's not condensed in one turn, it's still very, very powerful gloves.
Yeah. Stonewall gauntlets do a lot of work there. I know a lot of people are like, oh, but they just lead on naked things and then they attack after it. But it's like you can still get like 5 or 6 value out of the Stonewall like -1 combat chain gloves, right? In a lot of spots against him.
Yeah, I think ninjas inherently need to keep the chain going for a lot of their combo cards. If they lead on something that they rely on their next combo card playing like having combo for the card before, then Stonewall Gauntlet is great against it. Most common one is probably Descendant Gust Wave on an Art of War turn. They play that. They're probably going to play a Bonds afterwards, and the Bonds, they have to play the card that they get off Bonds in the same chain as well. So you can get basically 4 value out of your Stonewall there, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Maybe more if they're playing the one that cares about the right attack being the last one on the combat chain or something like that sometimes. There's lots of spots where it'll get a bunch of value.
Yep. And then the sword, they also can't close the chain if they want to give the tiger +1. So if they need to do like...
It's a bow staff.
What?
It's a staff, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's a staff, not a sword. So yeah, the gloves, I think you can expect to get 4 or 5 value out of them against most in most games against Zen, which, well, it's not as much as they're getting out of their Shuko because they're probably getting like 6+ value out of it, 5-6 value out of it because you get 3 or 4 triggers plus the 2 block, but it's still very good. And
How are
everyone
you
has
feeling
access
about
to it.
draft? Are you excited to draft? Do you feel comfortable drafting all the heroes at this point? Have you done a lot of draft practice?
I don't feel comfortable drafting all the heroes, unfortunately. I think that I'm hoping to shore this up between now and nationals, but right now I don't feel very comfortable drafting new at all. I think if I draft Zen or Enigma, I'm fine and can draft. I know what a good Zen and Enigma deck looks like, and I feel very comfortable playing them. And I also feel comfortable like pivoting into a really blue heavy version of them if I'm getting cut out of like some of the best class commons and just not really seeing those. But I feel pretty comfortable drafting both of them and not very comfortable drafting new, which is not where I like to be going into major events. I really like feeling comfortable drafting every hero in the draft pod. So yeah, hopefully I am not in a new seat, but I will probably try to draft new if that's what seems open in my seat. And hopefully I can shore up some of my weaknesses because we're recording this Tuesday night and we're going to have some team discussions about limited on Thursday night. And maybe I can get a draft in or two, another draft or two in between now and nationals. We'll see.
Runaways queues are probably still firing. You could probably go hop in one of those at some point.
Yeah.
I'm sure one or two will fire between now and Thursday.
Yeah. I just, it's a busy time getting ready to leave for an event. I still have a lot of packing to do. You can see like, I don't know if they're catching on the camera, but there's like a bunch of binders behind me. I was digging for cards for my deck.
Yeah, and your underwear's back there. We see it.
That's not underwear.
But that's good. I feel comfortable drafting new. I feel comfortable drafting all the heroes at this point. I think Enigma is my least comfortable, but that's because I think I will draft any of the heroes. I try to draft my seat as much as possible in this format, but I have train wrecked as each one of the heroes. Also, I've done the reps. I've done the train wreck. I've done the you're the one of two. I've done the you're the some. I've seen you're a one of one drafts. I've seen the highest highs and the lowest lows. And the lowest low by far in the format was the 4 Enigma pod. That was the worst draft deck I had ever subjected myself to play in any card game. It was just like, man, I got this like yellow sigil of solace, and like I got blue solitary companions, like, and some yellow. What's the 2 for 6 at red? The fact finding mission or whatever. Yeah, I got some yellow and blues of those, and like it just completely went off the rails in the most awful, horrendous deck I've seen in my life, dude. It was so bad.
Yeah, the bad Enigma commons are quite bad. Like the all the yellow auras that don't have a block value, the no blocks
I
yellow
never even
auras.
got a chance. I never even had a chance to see a waxing specter. Not even a single one ever came within a single, like, it was so bad.
Yeah, a lot of the blue illusionist commons are also quite bad. Like blue waxing spectre is pretty bad. Blue waning vengeance is really bad. Blue, any
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
blue instants are just horrible, and most of the blue 2 blocks suck as well. So it's rough.
yeah, I think the only blue illusionist card I'm happy to get like quite a lot of are like the vengeful apparitions, just because they
Yeah,
block 3, the 0 cost. There's still plenty of other 0 cost uh auras that you're happy to flash in at that point off of it. So it blocks 3. It just does, it checks a lot of boxes.
yeah. I think blue single minded determination is also fine. It blocks 3. Is that
Yeah,
that might be a rare though? Actually, no, I think
no,
it's
it's
a common.
common. It's
Common.
common.
Okay, I've done a lot of drafts. You can tell.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I think, and so I will say my personal preference has been drafting new the most because I'm scared of train wrecking on Enigma, and then I hate the coin flippiness of the ninja mirrors at times. Not to say it's like a no skill brain dead. It's 100% luck based thing, but the dice roll does play a pretty significant, factor in who wins or loses a lot of games. I think we drafted in a pod together, and then I went first and lost, and then you went first and lost, and then I went first, and Did I win or lose that third game?
I
Or
don't
did we
think we
not
finished
finish?
the
We
third
didn't
game. I think
finish
the
it, but
next
I
round
think
was
I was
30.
losing. I think I
Yeah.
recall being in a bad spot. So that didn't seem great.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that scares me. And the new, it's just kind of like this comfy hero to me at this point. It's just like, okay, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for some picked up pieces to short my Enigma matchup. I'm looking for some double troubles. I'm looking for some art of desires, some bonds of attraction, and then whatever reactions I can get to fill up the curve. I want a handful of smattering of like what's the one that banishes Passover? I want like a Passover and a path well traveled, and then the rest of the deck just kind of plays itself. It's just like you play some good value, you go turn over turn, you try to do some tricky stuff sometimes, and like yeah, I don't know, you just do the new thing.
Yeah, I think new is kind of interesting because she has a lot of power at the rare slot. I think there's three really good rare stealth attacks: the double triple, like you said, the art of desire, like you said, and then the I can't remember the one that banishes a card from their graveyard. Then if you banish a card or banish the top card of their deck, then you can banish a card from their graveyard and it's the same color, you get
Bonds of
a life.
Attraction.
Yeah, is that the other card you said?
Yeah, Art of Desire, Body, Mind, Soul, Red, Yellow, Blue is the
Yeah.
first rare cycle. Bonds of Attraction and Double Trouble. Double Trouble in particular, I think, is like really what breaks your decks because it's just like the card that pushes the most damage.
Yeah. So I think new definitely is the strongest if you get the right rares. I don't think any of the Zen or Enigma rares are that strong, though. If you go to Majestic level, they all three have some very, very powerful cards. But
Yeah, I actually think she has the weakest Majestics out of the heroes because like hers are just like just a Nick persuasive prognosis and in particular Bonds of Agony. If you don't have like the reaction piece of equipment, that card can particularly be pretty mediocre. And it's not like constructed where like even if you hit with it and do the thing, you're taking like a million copies out of their deck. You're probably maybe most of the time taking like one or two cards, which is it's good, but like it's not like card since decks are less overall synergistic, its on hit effect is less relevant in draft. But then you look at like Illusionist, and it has like Restless Coalition or 10,000 Year Reunion or Mirror Guy, and it's like
yeah,
Mirror Guy in particular, I think is just like I was so far ahead in this one game. Like I had waxing specters, I had a plus like a counter, and then my opponent pitches a chi, plays a manifestation of mirror guy. It was like 15-4, and I lost that game. It's like I just couldn't beat. Like they attacked me for 8, and then I was like, oh shit, I got to block. But I used all my cards blocking, and then I would because like okay, I could attack back for like 2 with my spectral shield, and they're like, okay, spend 1 card and attack you, and here's another 8 damage with my mayor guy, and again I'm like, okay, I'm dead. I lost this game. Cool. You played this card, and I died. Great.
yeah. With how short limited games are, starting with 20 life, if the mirror guy lives for like one turn, you just like can't win basically.
Yeah,
Even if you
it's
kill it
dumb.
right away, it's not like they went below rate. They still got their 8 points on offense and however many points of defense it blocked when you killed it. It's very, very strong and limited and constructed.
Yeah, and I think new has the weakest of like the chi majestics. So I think like once again, Enigma's is very good. I think Zen's is pretty strong, like being able to get the extra tigers and then buffing them. There's like, I think it's the only way to buff tigers like for like a turn effect in the format, right? So that's very strong.
Mhm.
And then Enigmas is like if your opponent has some good stuff in their graveyard, not they're banished already, get like 1 or 2 of those and like get some nice little reaction cards and maybe activate your hero ability and maybe get a card off their top. And it's like, okay,
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I think that card's very, very good and constructed, but definitely
yeah,
doesn't work as well unlimited.
yeah. But yeah, happy to, I guess like, and even like if you look at like news majestic reactions, it's like Gorgon's Gaze, it's like fine, it's like okay. Siren's Call, it's like good, it's okay. It's like not game. It's like it's not like anybody's like, oh man, I was winning the game and then my opponent's cast Siren's Call and I lost the game on the spot. Like that's not a thing that happens. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say sometimes your opponent casts Siren's Call and your hand goes from being like very good to being horrible,
yeah, sure, I guess that can happen.
but not every time for sure.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up.
What are you playing at
Don't
nationals?
the next time you're playing at U.S.
What are you playing?
National,
Wait,
I don't know.
what do you mean you don't know?
I don't want to play a classic constructed hero. I don't like him. I want to play Bolton, but he's unplayable. I don't. I spent so many weeks. I spent like a month at this point working on new. Maybe 3 weeks. All the weeks that I got back from Japan, I've spent working on new. And at first, I was so high on new. I was like, "Oh man, this hero's broken. You're destroying people's hands and doing things, and you get to do all these cool tricky tricks, and it's sweet and great." And then people learn how to play against new, and then she got worse and worse and worse and worse over time. And I'm like, oh, why is this format like this, Michael? Why are people learning how to play the game? Remember when I was beating you up at when you, since you've been locked on Enigma for a while too? Remember when I was like 2-0ing you and I was like, yeah, New's not bad into Enigma. And then we played today and I was 0-2 and the games were even remotely close. And I was like, oh man, New's horrible into Enigma.
Yeah, I think my list got better, and I think your list became less tech for Enigma. And also, I learned the matchup a lot better.
So like I want to pivot, but I don't want to pivot because I don't like. I've thought about pivoting a couple times, and I'm like, maybe I'll play Victor. And then I play a couple games of Victor, and I'm like, I still can't ever beat Enigma. Like, okay, like cool. I can never beat Kano in that matchup, and like, so there's still horrendous matchups there. I think Victor versus New isn't amazing for either side. I think it's probably like close to a 50-50 matchup. People really overstate like, oh man, New will just play Victor's blues and kill him with him. And it's like, Victor like can be quite aggressive if he wants to. And if you just like try to play like a long grindy game with him, he's quite good at just like hitting you for large numbers over and 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 over again if you let him. And New's not winning very many clashes with her deck full of no
One,
like
one
one
power.
power, yeah, attacks. So not it's not as smooth sailing as people make it out to be. That's for sure. I never thought I would see a day where I would be a defending victor out here, but you know, here we are.
Yeah, I think you might. It might be a thing where like the news need to give a little bit more respect to Guardian to make sure they have a good matchup. Maybe a better blocking cards and just like chill because you just need to banish a few good blues and then you're up a million value by playing them.
Yeah, but the problem is when you put in better blocking cards, you know what your blocking cards don't do a lot of good into Enigma. And then it's like, okay, so then, and they're also not very good into Prism, so it's like, okay, so like you need like aggressive, powerful attacky attacks to like beat the Illusionist, and then you try to beat the Illusionist, and you don't really even beat them anyways, and it's just like, what am I doing here? And then everybody's like, play Zen, play Zen, play Zen. I'm not playing a deck that I have at literal zero reps with at this point. I have played zero games of classic constructed Zen as of June 11th, 2024. I own a smattering of the cards. Not I need to like last minute scrape together the almost the entire deck that's like majestic and legendary and above. Uh, yeah, I'm not. I can't pivot to Zen at this point. I think that's just not really where I want to be.
What about Enigma? Do you want to play Enigma with me?
Yeah, everybody knows that Enigma is one of the least skilled and like easiest to learn to play heroes in the game, right? There's not a lot of decision trees and instant speed interactions with that hero, right?
You'll pick it up just fine.
Also, same thing. I own like none of the cards and all that stuff. So I think I just made my new bed, and I'm just gonna have to lay in it. I think that's probably where I am at this point in time in my life. I might pivot to Victor, um, but I feel like Victor and New are like the same deck. It's just like you get to pick up or lose 15 to 20% equity in like 3 to 4 different matchups, and like that's it. And it's like okay, it's like Victor could never beat Kano. New is like 50-50 into Kano. New can never beat Riptide. Victor's like 50-50 into Riptide. I
No
think
way. Victor smashes Riptide.
I don't know. That's what I'm just going by with what Talishar says, man. I'm just
Really? Is Riptide just broken now?
I put him in B tier for a reason, dude. I wasn't memeing.
I
He's
keep giving him good cards.
yeah. The new card's good. He's got like 6 poppers in his deck now. Riptide. What does Riptide v Victor look like? We'll pull it up. This is how I make all my life decisions now, based on February stats.
February data.
I'd
Or
probably name my
college
next
data.
child based on what February said the most popular hero was at the time. Okay, never mind. Victor's like 75%.
Okay. You were really making me question everything I knew about Flesh and Blood if Riptide was having an even matchup against Victor.
He's like, and Victor's also 65% into Zen, and people are like, "Oh man, that match it's not that bad for Zen." And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, how does Zen ever beat like a Crippling Crush
Victor can't play Crippling Crush.
or not Crippling Crush, Spinal
Spinal.
Crush? Yeah, or like a Choke Slam, or if like Victor really wants to go deep on the match, he can just play like Crush the Weak, and it's like cool. You get 1 block of armor 1 time, unless you find your 50 damage magic turn in that one like the 2 turn cycles before Victor like actually starts doing meaningful things. Then like good luck. Like CNC Pummel's a nightmare. If he wants to play the weakest link, that's a nightmare. It's just like that matchup. Like that's the reason why I want to play Victor's, because I think there was so much hype going around Zen for such a long time. Like, oh man, he's the secret broken deck. Uh, and then now I'm like, he'll be like 10% of the field.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I think if as Victor you have a bad matchup into KO and Enigma, and if your new matchup's fine, your Zen matchup's good, that seems like actually a real choice. Your
Yeah, even
Kano
the
matchup's
KO.
pretty.
Yeah, your Kano matchup's horrendous. So like Victor is 38% into Enigma, which I think is like actually like 10% if like people play correctly. He's like 33% into Kano, which I think is like actual 0% into good Kanos. He's 46% into KO, which is higher than I thought it would be. But you know, visit the Goldmain Estate. You know, it's basically like what's the one KO card that does KO things that gives you all the
It's
tokens?
Cast Bones, but it
Cast
just go
Bones.
again and draws a card
Yeah.
and it's a blue block 3 that costs
Yeah.
1.
Yeah, it's like all those things. It's like if Cast Bones was like actually like amazingly good, you know?
If Cast Bones was as good as people thought it was, it would be visit the Goldmain Estate.
Yeah, like so like I imagine that's where a lot of the equity improvement comes in that matchup. Uh
That makes sense.
and then yeah, he's significantly better into Prism. He's like 50% into Prism, but New is like 30% into Prism. That's a horrendous matchup. I was talking to some other news about it the other day, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that matchup's been fine. You just like race them." And I'm like, "How do you just race? They're like 15 damage plus angels every turn. You just race that." And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, all right, if that's what you say. I'll believe you, but that has not been my experience, and nor is what Talishar reflects. I think it's very, 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 very bad for New."
If you could turn your daggers into Searing Ember Blades, I think you would be great at racing Prism.
Oh man, I feel like I'm talking myself into Victor again in real time. Oh man, because like his Azalea matchup's way better. It's in
Yeah.
46% for New, 66% for Victor. It's just like I just have to literally dodge Kano and Enigma, and I'm like better into everything else in the field.
Is he better than New and Nikeo?
They are tied at the moment at 46%.
Okay. And you can't play KO, right? You wouldn't play KO?
I once again have 0 games played on KO at this point ever lifetime, like in Classic Constructed.
Okay. How many Victor games do you have?
Maybe like a dozen.
You're not that far behind. 0 a dozen.
I mean, I have like no time to like I'm very busy with like work and life responsibility things the next couple of days. I haven't even like you have stuff on your bed and like started packing and stuff like that. I have like a smattering of like a quarter of the decks that I might hypothetically play somewhere pulled out somewhere over there on a table, and that's it. Like that's as far as my planning has gone for this trip so far.
Oh, might be a rough trip.
Yeah, dude, and I don't even have a broken Icelander deck to play on day 2 to top 8 of calling anymore. It's sad.
If you want to play Enigma, I've got a list for you.
Yeah, do you have the cards? Do you have a whole extra
No,
set of the deck?
no, I don't even have the cards for me. I just DM'd Nathan today and was like, "Hey, you know how you said you could hook me up with cards? So well, hopefully that happens. We'll see. See."
And I think also what I don't want to play Victor is just like, dude, like I hate losing to Kano. I hate losing to Kano. I hate Kano so bad. I hate Kano more than any other hero in the game right now. I hate everything about that stupid hero. And I wish he didn't exist in the game, but he does, and he's here, and like he's going to be like 2 to 3% of the field, but like some of the best players in the room are going to be on him and having a good day. Thankfully, Kano stands are getting torn apart on Twitter right now because none of them know how to draft. So that's at least good for me. Do we start with draft or CC?
I don't actually know what we start with. We can find out pretty
That
quickly.
this might actually determine my pick. If we start with draft, I think cool. Fuck it, they can't draft anyway, so lock in a deck that loses to Kano.
I would guess we start with CC because that's what the last major events have been, but I don't
Didn't we
know.
start with draft one time?
It's been a while since we started with draft.
Yeah, so it's time to bring it back. Let's start with draft. I'll email the TO and switch it around.
Tournament structure: Swiss rounds 1 through 4 are classic constructed. Rounds 5 through 7 are part of the Mistveil booster draft.
Unlucky, dude. That's so unlucky.
But I mean, if you said that it's going to be like 2 to 3% of the field is on Kano, even if all the Kanos win all 4 of their CC rounds, you're still like not that likely to hit them. Even at 3-0, you're still less than like if they're
figured
one.
it out.
If you cut the field to 1/8.
I remember PTLA. I hit like 2 1%ers. Played like the Viscerai, and I played some other deck that like nobody played in the room. Like I hit like and a Bolton. Like I hit like so many like 1%ers. Oh, and
Yeah,
Azalea. Like there were like no Azalea. Well, I guess
there
Azalea
were a
was
decent
like,
amount of Azaleas
never
actually.
mind. I don't know. But I hit like a 1%er of Viscerai. So like what are the odds I hit 2 1%ers a row in 2 tournaments? You know, like that's like 0% if you think about it. So I'll lock in Victor.
So, sounds like a plan. I'm glad
That's
we
just
can help
math.
you figure out your.
That's just numbers, you
Yeah.
know?
There's no fallacies happening here.
Yeah, everybody knows the results of prior statistical outcomes affect future statistical outcomes. That's just math.
Yeah, and independent events definitely affect each other.
Mm-hmm.
Confirmed.
The butterfly effect and whatnot, you know? Okay. What else? Final thoughts. It's gonna be a short episode this week. What do you think about? How are you feeling? I said Zen is probably still going to be one of the most played decks, and you're like talking to you earlier. You're like, yeah, I don't think the Zen matchup's that bad, which blew my mind.
I don't think it's that good either. I think it's like slightly Zen favored. There's a lot of variance in the new heroes with like when you draw your transcend cards, when you're able to transcend, how your hands line up. Ancestral Harmony is like an extremely high variance card. Sometimes you flip over and you get a whole extra card. Sometimes you just flip over your levels of alignment and you're like, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a lot of variance intrinsic to the matchup and honestly flesh and blood card design in the modern era. There's just a lot of high variance cards. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Well, any final thoughts, Michael, before we wrap things up?
No.
I know you're talking about the Zen matchup. You said the Zen matchup wasn't that bad, though, which blew my mind.
I think it is definitely Zen favored, but there's a lot of things that can go right. Like I said, sometimes your disruption just lines up. You have set up an aura and a disruptive attack, and then they can't really protect their pressure basically, or have enough pressure to clear your aura after disruption. They have their armor, and it does buy them 1 turn or sometimes 2 turns, depending on how they use it. If they like spread it out over 2 different blocking turns, but yeah, it's a tough matchup, but high variance and things can go right. Enigma's high rolls are very high, and if you play a mirror guy and your opponent has a weak turn, then you win the game on the spot a lot of the time.
I didn't realize this, but I don't like you're talking about variance, dude. You're playing gem roulette on this hero more than she's got like a 50% overall like win ratio, but like I think this is the most polarized hero win rate I've ever seen. It's like 90% Arachne, 34%. It's either like 30% or like 70%. There's like so few in the middles across the board. It's like Dash is like 50%. Katsu is 50%. I have no idea how in the world Bolton's only 55% favorite for you. That's insane to me. Viserai, and it's only like 200 games, 50% in Viserai. But then like you have like so many 30%ers here. 30% into Zen, 37% into Riptide, 37% into Phi, 34% into Azalea, which I think is the scariest. I think the Azalea and Zen matchups in particular are terrifying. 44% into KO is a lot better than I would expect as well, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I've said this before. I don't think Enigma is like the best hero or even one of the best heroes in the game right now. I think she is good and not amazing, and I put a lot of time into her, and I enjoy her, so I'm gonna play her. And I
Are you saying that's the attitude I should have with New? We're both 50% bros of win rates across the board, but we're just going to play the heroes we spent a lot of time on and worked on and enjoy. That's what we should do, and to not be so worried about how to win a tournament and maximizing the equity there and pivoting to heroes we don't know how to play.
think that's best for the happiness EV. Is just play a hero that you put a lot of time into, that you know and you enjoy. And if the tournament goes poorly, then hopefully you can learn some things.
Didn't you see the player draft, Michael? There are Canadians with big money riding on us. You were pack one, pick one. Doesn't that make you feel some kind of pressure to perform, to make sure you live up to the expectations of the Canadians who drafted you in their U.S. Nats draft?
Stressing about living up to expectations. That was all of last year. We're past that now.
I would say I have to live up to my expectations, but I went like fourth last, so like third last or something like that. So
you're like, in the draft.
Whatever. Yeah, but like, yeah, that's fair. Tarek drafted me. I think he specifically said he traded for me or something.
Wait, there was trading?
I think so. I think you can trade picks, maybe. I don't know. That's what he said. He said he specifically traded for me, so I'm not allowed to play New. So there we go. I'm not allowed to play New. Tarek banned me off of New. I have to play Victor now.
Okay. Well, as long as you'll enjoy Victor, I think it's fine. You've said this before. We're playing card games. We play these games because we have fun playing them. I remember this. These are Roger Bodee words, wise words.
I should listen to our podcast sometime and listen to what this Roger guy has to say. I could learn a thing or two.
Yeah. You could. He says some wise things sometimes. Not always. There's a lot of stuff you gotta rip through. But you gotta find the gems in the rough, or whatever the saying is. Diamonds in the rough. Yes.
Well, the next time you're listening to the Manor podcast and finding the diamonds in the rough,